and less in your body, and what having more or having less predicts generally?
Absolutely. So great question. What we found was that C15 it's called a pleiotropic molecule. And another way to say that is it's a promiscuous molecule. So it gets around and it does a lot of really good things that specifically supports our longevity. So how it does that, one of its most important roles is that C15 is a sturdy saturated fatty acid that goes into our cell membranes. And, we're made entirely of cells. And the stronger our cell membrane, the longer it can last and live to keep us youthful and healthy. As we get older, our cell membranes become more fragile. They fall apart. It's how we age. So C15 has played a role, an evolutionary role for millions of years that actually helps explain why humans live 27 times longer than a mouse. It's how nature is enabling longevity is simply just by stabilizing our cell membranes against breakdown. Think of it as a brick, like an armor in our cell membranes that help.
So the stronger your C15 levels, the more protected your cell membranes are, which means that they're going to last longer and you're going to age more gracefully. And the less you have, the faster you're going to age. Is that correct?
I think we're just done. I think we're done.
I nailed it. Well, but I think this is so fascinating because again, like we've done this for a little while, close to a decade. This is the first time this topic's ever come up on the show. It's the first time C15's ever been discussed.
Why is that?
It is. So, Lauren, that's a really good question because it's like, okay, so C15's been around for since we've known about since the 1950s. Lots of fatty acid and lipid experts working on fatty acids. And how does a dolphin veterinarian come along, right, and say like, hey, we made this great new discovery? So that's why we went to Dr. Ed Dennis, he was the editor-in-chief of the Journal for Lipid Research for 15 years. So this is one of the world's experts in fatty acids when we made this discovery in dolphins. And Ed said, yeah, it's probably not what you think because we've known about it, but let's take a look because the dolphin angle is interesting. So there are a couple reasons why C15 wasn't known before. The first is we have these huge blinders on, right? Because we've been told how many times that all saturated fats are bad for us. And so C15 is a saturated fat, but it fits in this odd chain saturated fat category, but it just was automatically put in where despite the fact that there are now many, many studies showing the same that we found in dolphins. The higher the C15 in humans, the healthier aging people are, less likely to get type 2 diabetes, heart disease, fatty liver disease. Those studies were emerging, Lauren, but nobody was really paying attention because they're like, well, that can't be true because all saturated fats are bad for us. If you look at USDA's nutritional guidelines today, it mentions avoiding saturated fats 161 times in a 164-page document. So to get over that bias, right, is why we spent 10 years doing the studies before we came out with the product.
It totally makes sense that we would all be low on this because I have a bone to pick with people on Instagram. They all shit on dairy. They're like, I avoid dairy. I believe this is my own journey of losing 60 pounds and really overhauling my life, that dairy has been really important to all of this. My whole family drinks raw milk every single day. We eat raw cheese every single day. We love Greek yogurt. I'm drinking raw kefir. Like, I just think that dairy is so underrated. I think the problem is that there probably is, and you could speak more eloquently on this, but there's good dairy and bad dairy. There's different qualities of dairy,
just like there is mass pasteurization too. It's
right, just like there is of meat. And I think that it would make sense that people are low in this because everyone has been fed by the media to avoid dairy, but I think they just need to get the right dairy. What is your feeling on that?
Yeah, spot on. So Lauren, you're right. It's not just a feeling, like it's a fact. So we know that as dairy fat has decreased, so generation after generation has not only taken down their intake of whole dairy fat, they've stopped cow's milk altogether. Right. So as you take out our primary source of C15, we know that C15 levels have been declining population wide, especially since the 1990s. That's when recommendations came in. In 1977, it was, okay, adults, basically all adults and older children should stop